Hey everyone, I am Sarah. Welcome back to Overkill Reviews, BangerTV's weekly heavy metal review show. Don't forget to subscribe and be sure to hit us up on Patreon. This week I am reviewing the highly anticipated debut by a Portland-based trad metal / goth rock band whose 2018 EP was very high on my best of 2018 list. That's right, it's the debut by Idle Hands. The album is called Mana, and it comes out via Eisenwald. Never heard of them? Here's a brief intro. Idle Hands formed in 2017 in Portland, Oregon, and are made up of multiple members of other active and defunct traditional heavy metal bands. Made up of vocalist and multi-instrumentalist Gabriel Franco, guitarist Sebastian Silva, drummer Colin, Vrazanan, and bassist Brandon Hill. The band quickly exploded after the release of Don't Waste Your Time, which is their 5-track EP, which offers this incredibly propulsive and very infectious blend of trad metal with goth rock. It pretty much reminds me of Sisters of Mercy meets In Solitude. It's awesome. And of course, after that, they kind of exploded. They started receiving tons of attention worldwide. Currently, they're on a massive tour of Europe. I saw them at Keep It True a couple of weeks ago, and basically, there's very little that matches 1,000 people singing and dancing along to a band at 12 o'clock in the afternoon. That shit does not happen in North America, but it happens in Europe, and it's happening for Idle Hands. So, does Mana live up to that promise and the hype? Let's find out. Pretty sure if you're watching this channel, you know that I am a traditional heavy metal junkie. But you might not know that I also have a very soft spot in my heart for basically dark 80s pop. And that is the intersection where Idle Hands and the album Mana is residing in. That intersection just works so well, and it sounds so fresh and so original, and it's really working for Idle Hands. It's just got this infinitely catchy vibe. There's tons of sing-along choruses. There's a simplicity to it that very few bands are able to achieve without sounding kind of trite. But this band, they have lots of repeating verse, chorus, verse sections, but they never do it to the point where you're feeling bored. Plus, the vocals, they're very unusual for heavy metal. And there's plenty of Tom G. Warrior oosh, and also a werewolf howl. How great is that? Kicking off with the driving track Nightfall, Mana instantly draws you in. Later on, Cosmic Overdrive begins with the revving of an engine, and then it just goes into this super driving progression. Both of the tracks are those fist-pumping songs that just make you want to bang your head and dance, and I love metal that does that. I should talk again about the vocals, because the way that they're layered and that they're delivered on this album by what sounds like multiple members really works for the band, as does the production. Just the whole package here is really working perfectly all together. It's got traces of Sisters of Mercy mixed with In Solitude, and it also really reminds me of my personal favorite 80s dark pop band, which is Tears for Fears. Personally, I think the strongest part of the album is the 1-2 punch. The first one is Gimme to the Night, and the second one is Blade in the Will, which, yes, is also on this album, but it's a re-recorded version, and it's just got a little bit more of a punchy, propulsive flavor to it. Punchy! Guaranteed crunch! This is metal that is unabashedly meant for a stadium audience. It's meant for people to sing along. In that way, to me, it has a lot in common with Manowar, because that's a band where people are frickin' tearing off their clothes and fucking singing along and having the time of their lives doing it. Sure, some metalheads might think that that's cheesy, or it's not extreme or whatever, but you're wrong. I mean, this isn't a perfect album. There is a song that I'm not a huge fan of, and that is the track, wrong album. The track that I'm not a huge fan of is the most ballad-esque song, which is called Dragon, Why Do You Cry? It's one of the singles from the album. I'm just not a fan of ballads, but this one is not heinous the way that a lot of ballads are, so props to Idle Hands. You made a ballad I don't hate. Well, I'm not gonna give it 5 out of 5, because to me, 5 out of 5. It's 100%. It's perfection. It's Rainbow Rising. It's Scald's Will of the Gods is Great Power. It's, Judas Priest, Sin After Sin. That said, I do think that Idle Hands has a future classic on their hands. I do think that they're going to be primed for metal explosion. They're going to be the next big thing in metal. I can say it very, very simply right now. They're already touring across Europe. They've opened for Tribulation. They're playing festivals. They're doing everything right. They're killing it. For all those reasons, I'm giving it 4.5 skulls out of 5. It's going to be, and I'll call it right now, it's going to be one of the top 10 albums of the year for myself personally, alongside releases by Iron Griffin, Cavalier, Magic Circle, and Lunar Shadow. So should get on this shit before everyone else does, because trust me, they're killer. Now for the shoutouts. I've got 3 trad metal bands that I am stoked to tell you about. The first album is by Spirited Drift. Their new record is called Divided by Darkness. It is out now via $20 spin. After that, we've got Bewitcher, Under the Witching Cross, out now via Shadow Kingdom Records. And finally, I really highly recommend the new album by Vulture's Vengeance. They are an Italian heavy metal band and they are killer. The album is called The Night Lore. That's it. Thank you.
Give me to the night. Give me to the edge.